Have you ever found yourself in a relationship, whether romantic, friendly, or even family, and deep down, you whispered to yourself, "Why does this feel so empty?" You go on dates, you share memories, you post the smiling photos. But when the lights are off, when the noise dies down, there is this quiet, aching question. Is this even real? We are living in a time where love is more talked about than ever, but less experienced than ever. Where we can text, swipe, and connect to thousands of people instantly. And yet, somehow, we feel more alone than ever before. Is it just you? Is it bad luck? Or is something deeper happening beneath the surface of modern relationships? What if I told you that this emptiness is not just your personal failure, nor the fault of the people around you, but the symptom of a hidden crisis no one is daring to name? Nietzsche, Jung, and even Schopenhauer warned about this long before social media existed. The quiet collapse of real intimacy under the weight of false connection. And unless we recognize this crisis, no amount of love stories, no amount of effort, and no amount of people will ever make it feel real. Stay with me, because once you see it, you will never look at modern love the same way again. We live in an age where love is everywhere, in songs, in films, and splashed across social media. It's constantly performed, but rarely felt. Modern love has become less about depth and more about display. We chase the idea of love, but often find ourselves entangled in something that feels hollow, like a well-rehearsed scene missing the soul behind it. Why? Because relationships today feel like transactions, not connections. We exchange attention, validation, and sometimes even affection, but rarely do we exchange our truth. Dating apps have reduced people into profiles. We meet versions, not people. And when these versions no longer satisfy us, we swipe, forgettable, disposable. It's not just about love anymore, it's about consumption. Modern relationships often feel like games where no one actually knows the rules, but both players are too afraid to admit it. And so we perform, smiling, pretending, hoping. Yet, deep inside, the emptiness grows. But the real question is, why do we continue playing this game? Why do we keep confusing this shallow performance with love itself? The answer, as Schopenhauer warned long before our time, is rooted in something darker than we like to admit: the fear of loneliness. Most people today aren't searching for love. They're searching for a way out of loneliness. But loneliness doesn't just make us feel empty. It makes us desperate. And desperate people often mistake anything for connection. Schopenhauer once pointed out that many relationships aren't born from fullness, but from lack, from a quiet fear we don't even want to admit to ourselves. Think about it. How often have you wanted someone not because you truly knew them, but because you were afraid to be alone? This is the hidden dynamic behind so many modern connections. We don't fall in love. We fall into need. And need is dangerous, because when you love out of need, you don't really see the person in front of you. You see a solution to your loneliness. And so, we project, we hope, we build castles in the sky, all while ignoring the foundation beneath our feet. This is why modern relationships often feel strange. Why even in the arms of someone else, you can still feel isolated. It's not because you're broken. It's because you're caught in a pattern most people never notice. A pattern where loneliness wears the mask of love. And yet, it doesn't stop there. Because it's not just loneliness that traps us. It's the illusions we quietly create about the people we claim to love. We rarely fall in love with people as they are. We fall in love with the stories we tell ourselves about them. Jung warned us about this long ago. What we often call love is, in reality, just projection. A reflection of our own unmet needs, fears, and fantasies cast onto another person. We don't see them. We see who we need them to be. And for a while, this illusion feels like magic. It gives us hope, excitement, even euphoria. But there is a problem. The real person is still there, hidden behind the character we've created. And reality always catches up. That's why so many modern relationships collapse, not because people change, but because the illusion dies. The partner you thought was perfect was never perfect. They were simply playing the role your unconscious mind assigned to them. It is not malice. It is simply human. We are desperate for meaning, for connection, for something or someone to soothe the ache of isolation. So we project. We give them the script without realizing we're doing it. And when they inevitably break character, we feel betrayed. We think they've changed. But really, they were just being themselves all along. This is why so many relationships today feel fake, fragile, and strangely disconnected. Not because people don't care, but because we rarely see the person standing in front of us. We only see our reflection. And the tragedy? We don't just project onto others. We let modern society teach us what we should project in the first place. It would be easy to blame ourselves alone, to say it's just our personal wounds, our fears, our insecurities that make modern love feel unreal. But the truth is, we are swimming in a culture that actively teaches us how to love poorly. Modern society doesn't reward depth, it rewards speed. It doesn't reward truth, it rewards appearances. Social media has turned intimacy into a performance. We are taught to curate, to filter, to present a version of ourselves that is likable, desirable, and easy to consume. And so we don't meet each other. We meet highlights, not people, but profiles. We scroll past people like advertisements, swipe past souls like they are disposable content. Attention spans shrink, patience fades. Commitment feels like a burden instead of a doorway to something sacred. And behind every swipe, every like, every story, the fear of missing out lingers. What if someone better is just one scroll away? What if this isn't enough? We are trapped between two instincts, the desire for depth and the addiction to novelty. And so, modern relationships feel restless. Even when love shows up, we are often too distracted, too impatient, or too addicted to the performance to recognize it. This is why you can be holding someone's hand and still feel oceans away. But the damage goes even deeper, because when shallow love becomes the norm, we start to forget what real intimacy even looks like. And so, we live in a strange paradox, surrounded by more people than ever, yet feeling more alone than ever. The cost of shallow love is not just breakups or arguments or another failed relationship to add to the list. The real cost is emotional numbness, a quiet, creeping sense of disconnection, not only from others, but from ourselves. How many people today stay in relationships where they no longer feel seen, but they are too afraid to leave? How many scroll through images of perfect couples while secretly wondering, why don't I feel like that? What's wrong with me? And yet, it's not that something is wrong with you. It's that most people have been taught to fear vulnerability. Because vulnerability is dangerous, isn't it? To show someone your fears, your wounds, your truth, is to risk rejection. So instead, we settle for surface-level connection. It feels safer, it's easier, but it's empty. And what's worse, the more we repeat this pattern, the more disconnected we become. Over time, we even start to question if real love is even possible anymore. This is the hidden tragedy behind modern relationships. It's not just the loneliness when we're alone. It's the loneliness we feel when we are supposedly with someone. But as always, there is another path, a harder path, but perhaps the only path towards something real. What if the crisis isn't that love is dead, but that we've simply forgotten how to love? Schopenhauer once wrote that real love isn't about possession or control. It is about recognition. Seeing another not as a solution to your loneliness, not as a projection of your fantasies, but as a whole, complex, imperfect human being. But how can you truly recognize someone if you've never even dared to recognize yourself? Jung reminds us that until we face our own shadow, we will keep searching for someone else to carry it for us. This is the quiet truth about real connection. It demands vulnerability, and vulnerability demands courage. It is much easier to perform, to smile, to hide behind filters, to pretend that everything is fine, than to say, "This is who I really am." And yet, only when we dare to be seen can we finally be loved for something real. This is the art we've lost, the art of showing up without the mask, without the performance, without the story. Because true connection is not about being perfect, being desired, or even being needed. It is about being seen. And strangely enough, this kind of connection has nothing to do with finding the right person. It has everything to do with first meeting yourself. Most will continue the pattern. They will keep searching outward for the perfect partner, the perfect relationship, the perfect love story. They will swipe, chase, hope, and yet quietly feel that something is missing. Not because they are broken, not because love is gone, but because they have never been taught to look in the right direction. The real crisis of modern relationships is not the lack of love, but the absence of authenticity. It is not just about finding the right person, but about daring to reveal the real person you already are. Schopenhauer taught us that suffering often begins the moment we mistake desire for love. And Jung showed us that until we recognize our shadow, we will always be searching for someone else to fix what we refuse to face. But for those willing to take the harder path, to stop performing, to stand still, to face themselves, something else becomes possible. A connection not built on projection, not fed by fear, but grounded in truth. In a world drowning in illusions, this kind of love is rare. It is dangerous, it is sacred, and maybe, just maybe, it is the only kind worth finding.